100 knots, checks. B1, rotate. Whoa! Fuck! Fuck! Oh!
Have you ever pondered whether the runway you're taking off from could be the wrong one? A chilling question, isn't it? Yet it's a crucial one in the realm of aviation safety. A world where attention to detail can mean the difference between life and death. A world where every decision, every move holds the highest of stakes. Now imagine a day when that unthinkable question becomes a horrifying reality. That day came for the passengers and crew of Comair Flight 5191. Today we delve into the tragic tale of Comair Flight 5191. It was an ordinary dawn on August 27, 2006 in Lexington, Kentucky. The day was just breaking, the sky slowly turning from the inky darkness of night to the soft hues of early morning. Comair Flight 5191, a Bombardier CRJ-100ER, stood ready on the tarmac, prepared for its short routine journey to Atlanta, Georgia. In the cockpit, Captain Jeffrey Clay, an experienced pilot with over 7,000 hours of flight time, and First Officer James Polhinker, equally adept with more than 6,000 hours, were busy with their pre-flight checks. They were a seasoned team, well-versed in the dynamics of their aircraft, confident in their abilities to handle whatever the day had in store. The passenger cabin was abuzz with the low hum of conversation, punctuated by the usual sounds of boarding. Among the 50 passengers were business people, vacationers, families, a microcosm of life, each with their own tale, their own destination. The weather, as reported by the Lexington Bluegrass Airport, was calm and clear. A typical summer's day was on the horizon, with no indication of the impending storm. The flight was scheduled for a prompt departure at 6 o'clock in the morning, set to arrive in Atlanta just over an hour later. As the last of the passengers settled into their seats, there was a sense of shared anticipation. Some were heading home, others embarking on new adventures, and some simply going about their day-to-day lives. The hum of the engines, the soft ding of the seatbelt sign, the final checks by the cabin crew. These were the reassuring rhythms of air travel, the familiar routine that signaled the start of their journey. Yet, as the plane taxied towards the runway, ready to take to the skies, there was an unseen shadow hanging over them, an unforeseen twist in their journey. The day that had begun as just another ordinary day was about to take a tragic turn. Little did the passengers and crew know what fate had in store for them. As Flight 5191 prepared for takeoff, a fatal mistake was about to unfold. The day had begun like any other, the Comair crew performing their routine checks and preparations, completely unaware of the impending disaster. The pilots, seasoned professionals, were confident in their abilities, each having logged countless hours in the cockpit. But even the most experienced among us are not immune to the occasional slip-up. On this fateful day, the pilots found themselves confronted with a perplexing situation. Two runways lay ahead of them, one significantly longer than the other. The longer runway was the one they were accustomed to, perfectly suited for their Bombardier CRJ-100 aircraft. The other, a much shorter strip, was typically reserved for smaller private planes. In the early morning gloom, their decision-making was about to be severely tested. In the cockpit, the pilots grappled with their options. They were under the impression that they were facing the familiar, longer runway. The shorter one was simply out of the question. After all, their plane required a certain length to safely lift off, and the shorter runway did not meet this requirement. However, a series of unfortunate circumstances led them to make a catastrophic assumption. The pilots, trusting their gut and years of experience, decided to proceed. They accelerated, the engines whirring loudly as the plane hurtled down the runway. It was only when the end of the runway loomed ominously close did they realize their grave error. But by then, it was too late to abort the takeoff. The plane rumbled, struggling to gain altitude, the ground rapidly running out beneath them. The pilots' hearts pounded in their chests as they grappled with the controls, their eyes wide with the dawning realization of their mistake. In the darkness of the early morning, Flight 5191 roared down the wrong runway. The moment the aircraft attempted to lift off, it was already too late. The engines roared, the ground rumbled, but the ill-fated Comair Flight 5191 failed to gain the altitude required for a safe takeoff. Instead, it found itself on a collision course with a nearby field, a disastrous encounter that was imminent and unavoidable. The crash's immediate aftermath was a scene of absolute devastation. Even before the last echoes of the explosion had died down, emergency services were already racing towards the site. Firefighters, paramedics, and law enforcement officers, their faces a stark mask of determination and dread, braced themselves for the grueling task ahead. Arriving on the scene, they were met with a sight that would be etched into their memories forever. The once sleek and polished aircraft was now a twisted wreck, its remains strewn across the field like the scattered pieces of a broken dream. The air was heavy with the acrid scent of burning fuel and metal, the silence punctuated by the occasional crackle of smoldering debris. The number of casualties was staggering. Out of the 50 souls on board, 49 were tragically lost in the crash. The only survivor was the co-pilot, who was pulled from the wreckage in critical condition. Each life lost represented a universe of unfulfilled dreams, of stories left untold, of loved ones left behind. As the news of the crash began to unfold, the world watched in stunned silence. A wave of grief washed over the nation, and the stark reality of the tragedy sparked a collective outpouring of condolences and support. It was a grim reminder of the fragile nature of life and the devastating impact of a single mistake. In a matter of moments, 49 of the 50 people on board lost their lives. A chilling testament to the tragic outcome of Comair Flight 5191, a day that would forever be etched in the annals of aviation history. In the wake of such a tragedy, the burning question was, how could this have happened? The investigation into the crash of Comair Flight 5191 was thorough and painstaking. It revealed a chilling combination of factors that led to the accident. The primary cause was identified as pilot error. The crew, tasked with the routine of an early morning flight, had mistakenly taken off from the wrong runway, one that was far too short for their Bombardier CRJ-100. But the pilots were not alone in their mistake. The investigation also shed light on a series of contributing factors, anomalies that on any other day might have been innocuous, but that morning they formed a deadly sequence of events. The runway lighting and signage were found to be less than optimal, creating a room for confusion in the pre-dawn darkness. It was an oversight that had fatal consequences. This tragic incident served as a wake-up call for the aviation industry. It underscored the need for airtight safety procedures and led to sweeping changes. Runway signage and lighting were improved across the globe, with stricter standards put in place. Comprehensive pre-flight checks became even more rigorous, with an enhanced focus on verifying the correct takeoff path. The communication between pilots and air traffic control was also tightened, ensuring that any potential misunderstandings could be quickly clarified. Furthermore, the incident spurred the development of advanced runway awareness and advisory systems. These technological aids are now commonplace in cockpits, providing an additional layer of security and helping pilots to navigate complex runway layouts. The tale of Flight 5191 is a stark reminder of the importance of vigilance, procedure, and communication in aviation. It reminds us that, in the realm of flight, there is no room for error, no allowance for ambiguity. Each lesson learned, each change implemented, is a testament to those lives lost, a commitment to ensuring that such a tragedy never repeats itself. The events of Comair Flight 5191 serve as a grim reminder of the critical importance of aviation safety. This tragic tale began with just another day at the airport, a routine flight on the schedule. But this day was different. A fatal mistake, a devastating wrong turn onto an unlit runway, set the course for one of the most heart-rending aviation accidents in history. The tragic outcome was immediate and unspeakable. 49 souls, passengers and crew were lost on that fateful August morning. Only one survived, carrying the weight of the incident with him. This shocking event sent ripples through the aviation community and the world, prompting thorough investigation and introspection. The investigation into the accident unveiled significant lessons. It underscored the paramount importance of meticulous pre-flight checks, the need for unequivocal clarity in communication, and the consequences of complacency in the cockpit. It served as a wake-up call for aviation authorities worldwide to review their safety procedures and ensure such a tragedy would not be repeated. As we reflect on this incident, let us not forget the lives that were lost. Instead, let their memory be a constant reminder of the preciousness of life and the responsibility we bear when we step into a plane, whether as a passenger or a pilot. In remembering Flight 5191, we honor those lost by striving for safer skies for all.